White Beam, to me, is a very intriguing upset possibility. She should be 4, 5, 6 to 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Past the Wire TV and our Travers Stakes by the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns. Those of you that have been watching since we've been doing these shows, starting back on the Kentucky Oaks and Derby and Triple Crown races, they've been spot on. The mistakes that have been made by yours truly, but the numbers and the patterns have not lied, not even once. We've identified horses that we're going to regress and won anyway, that we're moving forward, just really, really good. So we'll see if we can keep that going. I have a feeling that we will. We're going to start this show with a nice sip of a Sure Bet ice brewed coffee, making me a winner right out of the box. We're going to get to the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns on the Travers, but before we do that, we've got some great stuff from Saratoga for you. We've got a little chat with Flavien Prat. It was before we knew that he was going to be riding Mage. But it's a little interesting where he talks about Saratoga and Del Mar and some of the differences. Then we're going to hear from Javier Castellano about the decision that I never really thought was a decision. And we're also going to hear from Todd Pletcher on Tapit Trice and Forte, Gustavo Delgado Jr. on Mage, Bill Mott on Scotland, and Steve Asmussen on Disarm. So we'll hear from all of them, and then we'll be back with the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns on the Travers Stakes horses for 2023 and see what the numbers and the patterns say. Who's moving forward, who's moving backward, who's fast, who's not. Maybe we'll find out who's going to win.
Similarity will be, good horses, good races. Some of the top horses in the country are running, and I think the atmosphere is really different. Del Mar is a bit more casual, where it's a bit more, I would say, dress up, and the atmosphere is a bit different. That would be the main difference. It seems like Saratoga there's a lot more races, and competition is really good. I would say maybe Saratoga. I've been doing Del Mar, and I was very fortunate to have a very good business. So Del Mar has always been a good meet for me, and but it seems like Saratoga is as good as well. I don't think it will be fair to put Flightline as a benchmark, because he was just a pure talent, smart horse. He had everything and above, so I don't think it'll be fair for the other horses. But I've been lucky to ride very good horses after him, and it's always a pleasure to ride those kind of horses. Obviously, Flightline was extremely talented.
Choice. They give it some frame time to respond to Mage connection, and 2 weeks before the race I couldn't give it the answer right away, and they decide all Mage connection to find another jockey, and they put it by Luisa and the horse. Basically I didn't have a choice to make. They choose to get another jockey, and that's all we ended up. I mean, nothing hard feeling, is some situation I have to choose one or the other one, and I decided to go with Mage and with Arcangelo and see how it goes. But it's good to go when you have a lot of confidence in yourself and the horse, to go to the bigger races in the country, like the 3-year-old and the Travers race. I build my own confidence. I'm winning the race 6 times. I have a lot of confidence in myself. Hopefully I can put a good show, and the horse is doing really well. I'm doing well, and let's see how it goes.
At times he's not real quick away from the gate, and we wanted to see how he trained in him. We thought we saw the effect that we wanted. You know, hopefully it translates to a little better tactical position and a little more focus, and I wasn't too concerned about it. If given the choice, I'd probably wanted to be a little more outside, but it's fine. I think they did. We saw in the mornings that it had a little more focus, and you know, I felt like he was locked in the gym dandy, and you know, he fought through a tough spot at the top of the stretch and showed his gameness like he always does. Mainly the physical maturity. You know, he's really gotten stronger. He's filled out. He's grown. You know, everything that you'd like to see a 3-year-old do. You know, a champion 2-year-old develop into a really strong 3-year-old, and you know that doesn't always happen. But in his case, it's really obvious that he's really.
He's bigger now. He's got experience, which he lacked in the first races that he did, and especially he faced 19 horses and he beat them all. And now he has to do the same.
First time he was ever in front. Most of his other races, he had been coming from off the pace, but at least he proved that he can do it that way. And there's some other speed in the race, but I think he's versatile enough to do whatever he needs to do when the gate opens. He's been exciting all the way along. I mean, he won his first out, and he's trained well, and he's progressed in every race. He was beaten one time by a head, but and then he proved that he liked the Saratoga racetrack. He got the 2 turns last time. He's probably one of the most inexperienced horses in the race, but he is doing well. I mean, he's a fresh horse, and a lot of the other horses in the race have been to some serious battles, and he probably hasn't yet, but he's fixing to find out what it's all about. You know, he seems to give it to you every time. He shows up, and he's really been training well. So, you know, they just got to do it on the racetrack.
Looks so similar, markings, the color, the deep red and everything, but it's time for him to step up. I think that there's a better race in him, and what a better place to show it than Saturday. Hopefully with the addition of Blinkers, we'll get a little more effort out of him. He's competed well, he just needs to finish it off.
This is a horse that always showed a lot of potential. Exploded second time out, win by 4.
Here comes Cogburn, and Cogburn has his sights on Nobles in the final 16th of a mile.
There's a lot of turf in this pedigree, top and bottom.
It will be Cogburn on the outside, getting to the front.
The other thing that I like about Cogburn a lot is when I look at his Thorograph numbers. He's got some fast races. He's got a 1.
And Cogburn under Ricardo Santana Jr. wins the Troy.
I love in these 3-year-old races. Again, those of you that watch the show and have been reading, you know my columns and a lot of my handicapping things over the years know I like up and comers. I like betting horses to do things that maybe we can anticipate that some others can't, and that's how you sometimes beat a lot of favorites. I like program trading.
And program trading, resilient coming back on the inside. Program trading would not be denied.
White Barrio is very interesting to me for a couple of reasons. We heard from Blake, we know what the bond thinks, okay? Second time Rick Dutrow. This time gets the jump from the catbird seat and turning for home. White Barrio was going to be in the race, if not on the lead, in the race, and the one they got to go get.
They're at the top of the stretch in the Whitney, and White Barrio is the leader narrowly over Giant Game.
We've had Irad breezing him a bunch at Belmont before he came up here. I know Irad really likes him. You know, we think that he should improve off of his last race. And, you know, if he gets a clean trip, we're expecting him to run big.
Look at White Barrio and Irad Ortiz Jr. in a runaway. White Barrio wins by almost 6 lengths.
Rhyme schemes on the outside, the bottom horse for Norm Cassie. Horse didn't do a lot of running first time out at Churchill Downs, going 5/8 of a mile, and what I thought was a pretty fast race on not such a fast track that day. He was 6x9, didn't really do any running, but he only went off, 6-7-1. So he took some money, and that turned out to be a very live race. Bunch of horses come out of that race to win, which I like with 2-year-olds.
And they're off, and Woodcourt flies out of the gate, immediately joined by Market Street. And these two duel through the opening furlong. Rhyme Schemes gets a good spot, 2 off the pace in third.
But he can certainly clear, and Santana is aggressive. And I can see this horse going 2 for 2 with the blinkers, and I'm hoping that they bet Pletcher's horse and the other horse.
And now Rhyme Schemes makes the move at the top of the stretch. It's a good one, too. Rhyme Schemes takes over, opens up 2 on Market Street in second. In the center of the track, it's Hall in third, but with a furlong left to go, Rhyme Schemes is long gone. A spectacular display from Rhyme Schemes, running home all alone in the Saratoga Special by 8 or 9 lengths.
Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Tracking trips with Pick 6 King John Stetton. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit PastTheWire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
Frankie Dettori. Ciao, Frankie. Tutto a posto.
Tutto a posto. Yes, that's a good start. So you haven't lost your Italian.
Frankie Dettori, legend, world-class jockey, one of the best ever to sit in the saddle, ambassador to the sport of kings. Meet Frankie during his fanfare like never before, only on Past the Wire TV.
Classic. Vino Rosso has taken the lead, and it's a vintage performance by Vino Rosso.
Hi everybody, Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets.
It is here, the big day, the day almost all of us in horse racing wait for, Breeders' Cup Saturday. it looks like we're going to see some really, really impressive races on Saturday. It starts with the Filly and Mare Sprint. One of my stronger opinions on the card is Goodnight Olive to start things off. I think she gets a perfect trip.
Goodnight Olive, 6 in a row and a Breeders' Cup champion.
We've got Modern Games going in the Turf Mile for Godolphin. The Godolphin and Aidan O'Brien horses we said on Past the Wire TV all week long on the backside. Those two contingents stuck out from all the rest. Modern Games looking for a big race from him.
Modern Games storming down the center of the course. Modern Games, a 2-time Breeders' Cup winner. You bet he is.
That is Rebels Romance, who in my humble opinion is one of Godolphin's better chances this year. Rebels Romance is a very, very good looking Godolphin horse that can absolutely win this race. Rebels Romance is a must use.
Rebels Romance rolling on the outside. Warlock got it. Makes her bid down toward the inside. Rebels Romance down the center of the course. Has it close to home. Rebels Romance wins the turf over Stony.
We got Flightline that they're putting in the best ever category. There's no question that the race he ran in the Pacific Classic is one of the best races we've seen any racehorse run ever.
It is Flightline. It is mind-tingling, jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, Secretariat-like.
Well, I hope you like that kind of stuff. We like to get behind the scenes and get some, interesting stuff that you may enjoy hearing. Always good to, take everything in when it comes to wagering. I don't bet on anybody's opinion but my own. But it's always nice to hear what people say. And, trainers are always, in my opinion, a little biased about their horses. And that's, understandable, but still nice to hear. And I thought it was interesting to hear from Javier and Flavian as well. But let's get right to it. Not a very big field in the Travers. What do we got? We got 7. Got the Derby winner, the Preakness winner, the Belmont winner, a couple of additions. So let's see where it goes. We'll start with the 2-year-old champ and heavy favorite Forte. Forte's pattern is very, very, very steady. If there's a knock on it at all, it's that he really hasn't made a significant jump forward, but he's got that gradual forward progress that I like. My problem is it's just been so long that I would have liked to have seen that big forward jump, and we just haven't seen it yet. But, as a 2-year-old, he went 7, 10.5, 3 1/4, 2 3/4, 2.5 when he won the Breeders' Cup. Comes back at Gulfstream off the layoff, first time 3-year-old, 2.5, regresses a little bit to a 3.5 in the Florida Derby that he won. And then vet scratch in the Derby. We all know that story. Okay. Comes back in the Belmont Stakes, runs a 1 3/4. I think a lot of that has to do with, how wide he was and how wide a lot of the horses in that race were. And then he pairs that 1 3/4, which is a nice pattern, pairing the 1 3/4 in his Jim Dandy in the slop. In a race he could conceivably have come down and been disqualified in. And I don't mean for the Angel of Empire incident. I mean for the incident with Brad Cox's horse, Saudi Prince, at the wire. But that aside, as a 3-year-old, 2.5, 3.5, vet scratch, 1 3/4, 1 3/4. I like those paired 1 3/4, but like I said, he's been fast and steady for a long time. 3 3/4, 2 3/4, 2.5, 2.5, 3.5, vet scratch, 1 3/4, 1 3/4. So he did go to that 1 3/4. Is he going to go forward again? I don't know. Maybe he's coming around now, and maybe this is the breakout race. But I tend to lean the other way because a lot of hard races, a lot of steady numbers, never took that big jump forward. So I'm going to say he's got a pattern that can conceivably go either way, but I'm going to say that, you know, he might be due for finally for that regression that we just haven't seen from him yet. Stay tuned. We'll find out on Saturday. Arcangelo. He's a horse we talked a lot about going into the Belmont, and we were right. I didn't like him to win. He did win, but I did think, and the numbers did say he would regress, and he did. He just won anyway. But, you know, 10, 5, big move forward to the 1 in the prep for the Belmont, and then a 2 3/4 in the Belmont. So Forte got a better number than him in the Belmont, even though he won the race. And that's due to how wide Forte was and, you know, how much of a perfect trip that he had. But he did regress. Does he go back forward again off that layoff? I don't know. I think it's a long layoff. Conceivably, that layoff should help him go back to that number, but you know, takes a certain kind of trainer and a certain kind of experience to get a horse to go from, you know, the Belmont straight to the Travers. I'd have to see it to believe it. So, you know, I think he may still. I think he won the Belmont, but I think he may regress again. 10, 5, 1. Regresses to 2 3/4. Now, even though he's fresh, I think he may regress a little bit again from that big leap from that 5 to that 1. Tapit Trice, 2-year-old, 8 3/4, 6.5. Was looking really good pattern wise. 4.5, 4 1/4, 1 in the race at Keeneland. Then in the Derby runs a 5. In the Belmont runs a 1. In the Haskell runs a 5.5. So he's kind of, you know, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad at this point. He's due for a good one. Does he go back to the 1? Maybe. Is that good enough to win? Probably. Maybe not if the next horse goes forward, but you know, blinkers on. You know, he's got a good, bad pattern, and he's due for a good race. Is he going to be able to jump from a 5 to a 1 again? That's a pretty big jump. It's a pretty big ask. He's done it a couple of times already. I don't think he goes back to the 1, even if he goes forward. His pattern does suggest he will go forward. But forward back to a 1 again is a big ask, in my opinion. Mage. All things considered, flat out, fastest horse in the race. First time out, runs a 5. Wire to wire going 7/8, runs another 5 off a bit and on a bad trip in the Fountain of Youth, stretching out, thrown to the wolves. Runs a 3 3/4 in the Fountain in the Florida Derby, the race he lost to Forte, who had every right to beat him. Then he runs a 0, fast as any horse in this race. In the Kentucky Derby. Comes back 2 weeks later in the Preakness, off short rest. Did a lot in a short period of time. Runs a 3.5. Good number, but did regress a little bit. Comes back off that in a race that was called a prep, and that he certainly in the Haskell. Go Rocket Ride beat him, but was on the rail. And Go Rocket Ride's a better horse than a lot of people realize. If he goes forward off the 0, and he's got 2 zeros, and he's got a forward moving pattern, race might be for second. Pratt is going to take over for Saez, who was hurt and can't ride him. Saez was supposed to ride him. I thought Castellano hedging and possibly wanting to ride Arcangelo was a mistake, but it was his mistake to make. But, you know, Bill Shoemaker made it in the Kentucky Derby when he picked Hill Rise over Northern Dancer. Jockeys aren't always right, neither are agents. Mage, 5, 3 3/4, 0. comes back off the short rest in the Preakness, 3 after doing a lot in a short period of time, 3.5, then goes to a 0 in the Haskell. Looks like he's going to go forward off that, and if he does, I think he runs a lights out race. National Treasure still has that look of a horse that's got a forward jump in him on the Thorograph. Let's go back to his 2-year-old year, 6 1/4, 4.5, 2 3/4, that fast race. Comes back 4, vet scratch at Santa Anita in March. Santa Anita runs a 4. Pimlico runs a 4 when he wins the Preakness. Then runs a 4.5 at the Belmont, and looked like he didn't want to go 1.25 miles. So he's got all those fours. But again, he's starting to look like Forte. You know, I love the steady numbers, and they always, you know, signify or signal or tell, you know, that forward jump is coming. But when they do it so often, maybe that's just their level, and they're not. And he's starting to look like Forte to me, where, you know, we kind of know what he is, we know what he's got, and we know what he's going to bring until he regresses. And a 4 is not going to win this race. So that's that. Disarm, intriguing. 2-year-old, 15 3/4. And we're not setting the world on fire with that. 6 1/4, comes back as a 3-year-old, 7 3/4. Now his pattern gets interesting. 5, 5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. He's again got those 3 numbers. Puts blinkers on. You know, he's paired that 3.5. Well, not paired. He tripled it up. Hat tricked it, whatever you want to call it. 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. He's got a forward moving pattern, but again, 3 without going forward. This is the one. This is his breakthrough. If he doesn't do it here, he's not going to do it, in my opinion. So I think Disarm could be sitting on a big race. I think he can definitely get into into it. He's got a forward moving pattern, but it is without a doubt put up or shut up time. They're putting blinkers on, so will that help or hurt? We'll find out soon enough. Scotland, probably very under the radar, dangerous horse according to Thorograph, and probably will take a lot of money because of that. So he probably won't be as big a price as some of us think. I mean, we're keeping this to the patterns and numbers, but when you look at his past performances, this is a horse that's won off the pace, on the lead, different distances. So he's got some versatility and talent to him. But his pattern, we've got no starts at 2, but we've got 6 1/4, 2.5, big jump forward, but not, you know, huge, but big. 2 3/4, 2 3/4. So he's got 2.5, 2 3/4, 2 3/4. He's another one who has that steadiness that signifies a forward move. But the difference between Scotland and the others that I say should have done it by now or put up and or shut up time is he's lightly raced. He's much more lightly raced than Forte or Disarm. So he's still got time, and he still, you know, to me screams forward move. If he's got the class to handle these, I think he's sitting on a forward move and a forward race, and he's got an extremely dangerous pattern. So that's it in a nutshell. To me, the 2 fast Thorograph horses that you need to watch and beat are Scotland and Mage, not necessarily in that order. I definitely lean to Mage. That 0, you know, if he goes past that, is going to be awfully tough for anybody to handle according to the Thorograph numbers and patterns. Disarm is one to watch, and Forte is one to watch. And to me, there's questions on Forte, and like I said, Disarm is put up or shut up. So there is the Travers Stakes by the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns as yours truly sees them. So any questions, let me know. Any future races coming up. The Breeders' Cup will be here before you know it. We're doing our Breeders' Cup seminar. We've got Saratoga Saturday up. We've got a Saratoga Travers Roundtable up. So there's plenty of information on the big Saturday on the channel. But for those of you that are fans of the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns shows, if there's any races you want to see, let me know. And if any of you have been using Thorograph and have any questions, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my analysis in the comments. If you have questions, put them in the comments. And if you have your own thoughts or your own take on any of the patterns and you've been using Thorograph, let me know what they are and we can maybe talk about it a little bit, or at least, let people see some other opinions. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Enjoy the big Saturday at Saratoga. Again, it was interesting. Pratt talking about the Spa and Del Mar, the two premier meets of the summer. And we'll be back with a lot more. So good luck on Saturday. Go get them. Remember, we are all going to be wrong more than we're going to be right. So what do? When we're right, we make it count. Don't be scared. This is not for the faint of heart. So with that, ciao, everybody. And we'll see you on the next one. Does it better.